You can leave, you can do whatever you want. You're not bothering me, you can leave. But I'm not gonna have somebody tell me one thing and then tell me another. And if these people who are working for our city are going in and making decisions on what should be done to fix a problem without even getting approval from the mayor about what they're doing, that doesn't seem right to me. John, I know this is probably inappropriate, but you guys talk so quiet I could hardly hear, and I missed the public participation part.
Oh, well,
Would I
yeah,
feel
let me correct you on that. I think that if you had comments you wanted to say, it's formal public. At the end, we have more public participation, so we can do that at the end.
Okay.
So you'll be able to speak at the end if you have additional comments.
Yeah.
Or you're welcome to comment when we're on a topic. Just if I'm talking and not paying attention, yell at me. So.
Okay, well then may I?
Yes, go ahead.
So, I want to address something about the beehive, because this beehive is a kind of a buzzword at this point, but in talking with the gentleman, the construction guy that was down there today, and I said, so I'm being told that if a beehive was here, this wouldn't have happened, and the flat grate is why. I said, why is a beehive any better than the other grate? Because if the leaves are all coming down here, they're going to suck onto that just as well as they're going to suck on. Because, I mean, we're talking at probably almost three.
They tend to float to the top.
Well, no, that's not what he said. They'll suck down to, they didn't float to the top of the flat grate. They wouldn't float to the top of a beehive grate. The difference between why you're saying the beehive grate drained, that he told me, was because the openings in the beehive are large enough for the leaves to pass through and go through the drain pipe. And I said, so you're telling me that if this flat grate had bigger holes, then this would be fine? And he said, yeah, if the leaves can go through and pass through, then it's fine. And I said, oh, and by the way, just so people understand why we're opposed to the beehive grate, it's because my husband has an obstacle course to try to mow down there as it is on that easement, and it's a real pain in the rear. So he's wanting to be able to ride over with the riding mower. So I said, okay, well, if that's the deal, could we cut out every other one of these slots on this grate and let stuff go through? And he says, well, yeah, you could. And I said, or is there a grate that we could get that has bigger openings? And he said, yeah, but the grate's bigger. I said, okay, well, could we set the bigger grate on top of this? He said, well, that's not a good idea because there's fitting that goes from the pipe to the grate to keep things from corroding or whatever. I said, okay, that makes sense to me. So I said, seems to me that this pipe that's 8 inches big is way too small. And he told me there's a great of an example of like what I'm talking about on down the hill. I'm not sure where. I guess behind Bill and the writings, if you go down that way, there's a flat grate that's apparently larger. And he said, there's one down there. And I said, okay, well, so why can't we just pull this out, dig this out, take out this 8-inch pipe, make that hole bigger, put a bigger pipe and a bigger grate, problem solved. He says, well, we can. I said, okay. So then we're continuing to talk a little bit more, and he says, well, I think in my experience that this hole in the side of it will let it overflow. And I said, okay, well, whereabouts on here are you going to put it? How high? And I said, are you going to put it way down here close to the ground? Because I'm thinking, if not, my yard's still going to flood out before it goes into that. And he says, yeah. He says, that's true. He says, so we could dig that dirt down a little deeper and put that down a little lower so it would be level with that grate, and then the power of the water will come across that grate and help keep the leaves off of it also. said, okay, and I said, you're telling me that should work? Yes, that should work. And I said, and if it doesn't work, and I have another swimming pool, you're going to be able to make that hole bigger. And he said, sure. Well, in talking to you later, I realized that's a problem for a child being able to
Yeah, it's another
sit there.
consideration we have to take into.
Right. So what I would like to clarify is that if that doesn't work, to me, that 8-inch pipe was not big enough in the first place, honestly. And when I looked at this request plan, wherever I put it, it notes we have an 18-inch HDPE, but I'm assuming that's the big pipe under the road itself?
Right.
Okay. So it never specifies on here anywhere that I see an 8-inch pipe. So that's kind of why I was looking for the engineering specs, is to see, did they engineer an 8-inch pipe? Well, nobody that I've talked to thus far, you, the site right guys, have seen an engineering report. So I'm just wondering how they came to that conclusion to put the 8-inch pipe.
And that, I'll have to check with the county engineer who approves the grant money, who is the one that oversees those designs and reviews. I'm sure based on the watershed and all of that, that was calculated in their design. Because I know the ones farther down that drain, some of those are only 12-inch, and they handle the water pretty well.
Yeah, but it might depend on how much water is thrown to that area.
Absolutely.
And a bead thing might work in one area where it won't in another, but I would think most of our residents are going to have a problem trying to clean around those beehives, and then if you don't, then the grass is going to grow around them, and then I would think that would be even more of a clogging issue. But the whole reason I'm bringing that up is because I'm still searching for how we decided that 8-inch pipe. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Of course, you knew. I talked to you way back when about it. So, as we're moving forward through all these other designs around, I really would hope we reconsider the size of these pipes and drains. And I would also hope that the residents know what's coming onto their property. Because I knew that, okay, we're doing a stormwater project. In my mind, what that was is we're replacing this old pipe, right? I had no idea of all this other stuff, or even to ask about it, because it just wasn't on my radar. All I was visualizing was a new pipe under the street. So I'm thinking to curtail frustration such as mine, if residents were contacted and told that there's going to be work, this is what's going to show up on your property, let them have an opportunity to speak now or forever hold your peace. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we do that. Each resident.
We were never contacted,
I
John.
spoke to Tom over the fence.
No. Not telling him all of that until the project was in the works. The project was in the works, being put in the ground, and he was complaining about the size of the pipe. And he didn't like those big culverts, but it was too late. No, John, I'm sorry. I'm going to dispute that.
Resident, I personally talked to him, and Lauren was with me when we talked to some too. So when we're doing a project, is there any special requests you want to do? This is what we're planning on doing and stuff like that, so that they can be aware and see what's going on.
I'm going to politely dispute. We were never told that that was happening. So I would reiterate that it would be helpful if residents would know that. Tom would have said, I don't want this beehive. He would have said it then and we would have dealt with it then and had an understanding. There's no way he told him there was going to be a big culvert and a beehive there. I'm sorry, I know my husband, he would have flipped.
Well, and because we have to go by the Environmental Protection Agency standards for runoff, and they're designed to capture and hold water like every other.
That's not my point. My point is telling people what's coming. My point is letting people know ahead of time what's coming. that solves a lot right there, John. And I understand that you can't just willy-nilly go in and change that. But like I said, I've not seen anything yet that says there should be an 8-inch pipe. And my dad, having retired from the highway department, we discussed before, his job for the highway department and then for another 18 years for the city of Kearney was to watch the contractors and ensure that they installed what they were supposed to, because they cut corners everywhere. So, again, I don't feel comfort in any fashion because nobody I've talked to has seen this engineering plan. I don't know this company's site right, and I don't know how well we should be trusting them to be just doing it for
I can
us.
say SiteRight's done 6 projects in the city, and they've all gone through the county engineer. The city has 512 people. We don't have an engineer.
And maybe those
we have to rely
cities-
on the county engineering to do the reviews, and that's why we submit all the documents with the contractor work to them, and then the engineers at the county help the cities out.
But maybe those other cities had an inspector, like Kearney had, my dad, hired to oversee some of those projects. What cities are you referring to?
Kearney's got 30,000 people. We got 512.
That's not my point. You said other cities around here use SiteRight. We don't know the size of those cities either. Maybe the reason their projects went well was because they had an inspector to oversee it. Now, we're small, I get that. We can't afford probably to hire an inspector, but we might be able to fish around and find a retired highway guy that would want to make a few extra dollars here and there and come and check on our projects once in a while to ensure that we're getting what we're paying for, whether it's grant money or not. And I'm trying to be suggesting and helpful. I really
find
am.
some middle ground between resources, money, and getting things done.
And I understand that.
How much?
This isn't, but when you go back and rework these projects, how much is that costing?
It's not costing us anything.
So SiteRight's willingly coming out and changing everything on their dime.
Just
And
like
they will
when-
every time that this continues to be a problem.
Just like when we have worked with other contractors, the gas, AT&T, we tell them and their contractor to come back and fix it.
Then I really
And they
wish
do it.
we would have, then I really sincerely wish we would have found the engineering report and checked what size that original pipe was supposed to have been in the first place. Because they should have replaced that if that's the case. And I'm hoping that they didn't take the easy way around and it's not going to be a good resolution. I guess that's all I'm
The
saying.
city's experience with SiteRight is phenomenal, so there's no reason to say they're not going to engineer it properly.
Oh, I'm sorry, I beg to differ. I've heard so many bad stories with contractors, it's pathetic, John.
Well, I have
So I don't
None with
agree with
SiteRight.
that.
None with SiteRight.
That you've heard,
That's true, but
that they know. We've already had problems with 2. We've had 2 problems with 2 of these build-outs already. Mine and another one. So I think it just, all I'm asking is simply that somebody should be overlooking this. When somebody like me can look there and say, this is too small of a pipe, and the guys digging the site agree,
You
this
can't
is
say
too
it's
small of a pipe.
pipe when you re-engineered it and took the original beehive out and put a flat pipe in, which I told your husband over the fence, I told him at the meeting last time he was here, it's going to clog with leaves and it won't drain.
That is not what caused this problem.
Yes, that is
No,
exactly
it is not
caused
what
the problem.
caused this problem.
That's exactly what caused
It
it.
is not what caused the
I
problem.
have pictures of.
Okay, I have pictures too, John.
That shows
I'm not
they
going to
drain.
argue with you here, okay?
Yeah,
I don't want to
I'm gonna
argue.
take
I'm going to
what-
professionally say I disagree.
And let's leave
And
it at
let's
that.
leave it at that.
I'm going to take what you said in advisement. We're going to try to have more conversations with residents when we do stormwater work and all that, and see what they have to say.
And there should be a little bit of questioning. You told me that you were going to be getting hydration reports. You told me you got them this morning, but now when I've sent my sunshine request in, nobody can give me any kind of a report. They don't have any.
I didn't say I was going to get them. You had told me you made a request, and then I said I texted
You
them.
told me that the gentleman sent them to you this morning, and that you hadn't got a chance to look at them.
This morning, he told me they were gonna be back on site late this week to finish the build-out on the project, which was dirt and sod. I didn't know they were gonna do anything on the drain until I got out and talked to them.
So when I spoke to you Tuesday morning, you told me that that a gentleman had contacted you on Easter Sunday and said that this week you would have hydration reports.
No, I said he
Yes,
called
you
me-
did.
I said he called me on Sunday, because I had left him a message a week before to tell him that Alpha KC had finished their work, so he could come out and put the dirt and the sod back on.
That is not what you told me, John.
Yes, that is exactly what I said.
No.
because That's all we
You
talked
said
about.
you were waiting for these hydrology reports, and I said, when you get them, please contact me and let me know. And then this morning, I told you, John, I'm disappointed because once again, I asked you to contact me and let me have some information, and you didn't do it. And you said, well, I just got them this morning and I didn't have time to look at them.
And if I'm in a meeting all morning, I can't turn my phone on, and I see a text that says you guys.
I
are
understand,
coming out
but you
this
told me you
week.
had them.
I didn't say I had anything.
There were supposedly hydration reports done that indicated the size of the drains. You told me you were going to get more hydration reports this week. That's why I asked you to contact me back. What did you think you were supposed to be contacting me back about?
When the contractor was gonna come out. I thought you wanted to know when the project was gonna be finished and when we were gonna have the work done.
You told me this afternoon you didn't even know those gentlemen were coming out today. And I
Until I
said,
got
how are
the
they
text.
initiating work when nothing was approved for them to be done? And they told me you told them to do this
Because
work.
last week, I told them Alpha was done, they can come out and do their finish work. So he called me.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to start communicating everything in an email.
Okay.
I expect to get a response back in email, okay? Because I do not like having misunderstandings like this. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's you, I'm not blaming you, or if it's me, but I have called over the drain pipe, the beehive, the easement issue. I've called about our easement, I don't know how many times, because of the big lines that are hanging down, sagging down. I called when AT&T dug up and made big mounds of dirt, and then we had flooding there again, and Tom can't mow, and I pulled him out of the mud with the mower. I contacted you on that. I contacted you about the hole this big under my driveway, and you told me I could pay for it and fix it myself, or I could wait until they came and fix it in the project. And I thought, why should I dig it up and fix it myself and then have them come and dig it back out?
That makes sense.
So I put a plate over it, but you never get back to me on any of these items. Never one time have you ever gotten back to me on any of these items.
We haven't done a stormwater project yet for the front of your house. so
Tom,
at this
you
point-
did all these other things all down the side of my house during the 72nd Street issue.
Which things?
All down our easement with the utility
We
company.
didn't do any, we have no control over that. Jessica, do you want to step in?
I'm sorry, but when a utility is working in your city and they're tearing up your property owner's easement and you're expecting that property owner to maintain it, then when I come to you for help and say, John, can you help me with this? Can you talk to these people? And you tell me, sure, I'll look into it. And then I hear nothing. But I don't believe that our city can't, and okay, maybe there is an issue because somebody mentioned to me that we don't have any easement ordinances. I don't know
We
why.
have any right-of-way ordinances.
Do we have easement ordinances?
Easements, Jessica, is an individual agreement between a property owner and a utility. It doesn't involve the city.
The easement's not my property. I was told that. I was told, this isn't your property.
It's right-of-way, it's not easement.
Okay, then, I'll use the term right-of-way. Somebody is responsible for that right-of-way and ensuring that you can't tell me that cable companies and telephone companies can go around the city digging up and leaving mounds of dirt and crap everywhere and no one can do anything about it.
Jessica, do you want to talk?
So you've raised a a number of issues. The
Yeah,
city-
for 3 years I've been struggling with this
Can I
stuff.
respond?
Yes, I
sorry.
apologize, I'm frustrated.
And I absolutely understand that. As of right now, the city does not have a specific ordinance or regulatory framework for contractors, utilities, anybody who wants to access the public right of way.
So why can't we make some?
I'm one person. This is something that is absolutely on our radar, something that has been discussed in past council meetings
So it'd be
on
you
almost
to-
a monthly basis.
it'd be you
I am
to
the
do
city
it?
attorney, so
No, I
this is
know, but I
a
mean,
project
it'd be
that I
you
will
to
be
do it.
working on. The mayor and I have had numerous conversations about what the city can and cannot regulate. We cannot prevent them from accessing the city right
And I
of way.
wouldn't want to do that.
But we can regulate historically how the city has done it. And as I've been involved with here since I've been here, there are only so many contractors that we are dealing with on an annual basis, however you want to frame it. We have had very good working relationships with them. For all of this,
No wonder they do what they want.
well, and I'm not aware of any major issues prior to this current, since the stormwater, and I was going to say this earlier, the stormwater system is still kind of a work in progress. I mean, we're just now finishing the work. We are seeing where the problem areas are. I think the city should have an opportunity to address that with,
I agree with that, but these other issues were from the 72nd Street work. They've been going on for 2 years, and John kept telling me, they're not done yet, they're not done yet, they'll fix it when they're done. They're done, and they didn't fix
let's
it.
not get off track.
I'm on track, I am on
We're talking
track.
about right-of-way access.
That is the right-of-way
And
access.
I'm not familiar exactly with what the circumstances and what you're
It's
talking
the
about.
Tomahawk right-of-way
The
access.
issue is the same regardless of location. We have heard from residents that they would like to have a more formal regulatory process. We are trying to accomplish that. Again, I know this sounds like something people don't want to hear, but we are a city of 500 people. We do not have a retail sector. I am limited in the number of hours that I can work per week because we don't have the budget to have me here full time. We have been implementing show me courts as a state mandate that has taken an outrageous amount of time for us to get up to speed with. So a lot of effort has been put on that. Again, we've talked about this at every council meeting. We hear you. We're trying to accommodate.
Well, I started talking to John about this at least 2, maybe 3 years ago.
I
So
wasn't
has it
involved in
been
those
2 or 3 years
conversations.
ago? Have you been working on this 2 or 3 years?
I have not. All
Okay.
of these issues are new to me. Is my
And
point.
why are they? Why are they new to her, John? You know,
Because
we've talked
I
about
can
it.
interject a little bit. The Platte County mayors get together once a month. Last week, we just formulated what we want in that document, and I got a copy of a draft we're going to look at. So we've got 16 other counties in Platte County, cities in Platte County, trying to do the same thing we're doing, because they haven't done it yet either.
I think that-
Mayor Weatherby informed me at the last meeting, he wishes he would have had something where Google went in, because they tore the plank out of the Weatherby Lake right-of-ways, and they still aren't fixed.
And because the right-of-way is only along my house, nobody gives a rip because I'm the only one dealing with it.
No, we're dealing with it all over the city. We've got it on Prairie View when they came in and put cable between Wichita and Omaha. They did things. We had the contractors come back and do it. Again, we've got good working relationships. And
What does a good working relationship with them mean? I'm trying to understand because it doesn't feel
when
like
they
it to me.
tear something up, you tell them we need to go back the way it was.
That's not happened for me.
But they aren't required to put in sod, so they usually seed it after they tear it up.
We didn't even get that far. We didn't even get to the point that they could put seed there. Now, they did throw some seed up there on that corner, but John, we didn't even get to that point. So you're telling me we have a good working relationship with these companies, and I'm saying, I don't see it, I don't feel it. You're saying we've got problems over on Prairie View, other residents are complaining. So how is that a good working relationship?
I
And you're
said
worried
they
about,
they got addressed.
You had, what,
We had issues where they had to come back.
So how come my issue can't get addressed?
It's getting addressed. We just got somebody out to Seed and Straw west of Tomahawk.
That's not my yard, that was Pete's.
On the west
Nobody
side?
has graded my side of the yard. It hasn't drained. Tom went out there last year himself and dug a trench down the length of our yard in Tomahawk to get the water to drain down to the drain. Tom had to go out there and do it because I called you numerous times and nothing happened. All you would ever say to me is that they're not done yet.
And AT&T.
I talked to you
finished
today.
their work in March.
I talked to you today, and you agreed with me about what needed to be sloped out there. That should have been done back then. It wasn't.
Because AT&T wasn't done.
They have been done. You marked in the contract here that they're done. I would think the point that you would talk to them would be before they're done, if you expect them to come back out and do it. And you told me today that you were going to allocate city money now to get this done and cleaned up because it had been too long to have AT&T come out. That is what you said to me.
And that's what's on the agenda. We're going to do that.
Why are we doing that if they come out and fix things?
Because they just said they were done and they see.
So why don't we contact them and say you're not done?
They do normally to do it. If we want to go above and beyond that, I'm willing to ask the board, can we put sod in instead of seed and straw?
They didn't even grade it out to drain, John. You saw it. It goes like this.
Yeah.
The water sits in between where they put the boxes in because they left the mounds of dirt.
And
It should have been their responsibility to regrade that to the drain,
But I also-
regardless of sod or seed.
I also saw that dirt from the north moved down and stopped, built the berm. Then it flowed, dirt from in between flowed down and built another berm. So it's a matter of silt management and that. They
We
couldn't
did not
grade it.
have a problem there until AT&T dug in there and redid all the dirt. That's when we started having the problem. So I have told you repeatedly, they need to come back out and fix it. You told me they weren't done, they would. Now they're done, so now they're not. So now the city is gonna pay to fix it? You told me that you were gonna ask the aldermen to approve you a budget.
We have two options. I can ask the city to pay for sod, or we can do nothing.
Well, what I'm saying is, why am I not getting the straight facts? Every time it's something different.
And I'm waiting for AT&T to come and bore under Tomahawk to finish their, so they're gonna be doing that again. I don't know when. They don't give us any warning. They're not required to give us any warning. So they're gonna tear it up again and again and again as they run fiber into Plattewoods.
If they continue to keep tearing up Tomahawk, then they should be required to continue to put it back the way it was when they came. Now when they come, they'll say, well, this is how it was when we came. Well, yeah, because that's how you left it the last time you were here.
We're going to be going into a different area, so it's going to be the same thing over again. We try to work with their contractor, and it isn't always the same contractor. So we have to maintain our relationship with whoever happens to be contract low bid for AT&T when they do their fiber trenching.
Okay, John, this is the last thing I'm going to say. I have contacted you numerously over the last 3 years. Nothing of which I have ever contacted you on has ever been resolved. I'm frustrated with that. The stormwater was the last thing. I have tried to be polite and contact you directly and not spread my dirty laundry around the neighborhood. But now I'm sitting in this room saying, this is not working. I am upset. I am tired. I do not have the time to be fighting this fight over and over and getting nowhere. It's frustrating me to no end, and I can't imagine that I'm the only resident.
You're not, and I don't think we're getting nowhere. We're making progress.
I'm certainly getting nowhere. I have the same list, with the exception of the storm drain, that I had 2 years ago.
And there isn't anything that's completed that the city can take action on north of the center of your yard. That is not going to get torn up when
You
they...
just told me AT&T was completed.
They're completed from the box to 72nd, and the box they put in Peach Yard. They're still going north down Tomahawk over the next 5 years.
I don't care about going north down Tomahawk. I'm talking about along the edge of my house, from Valley to 72nd. That's the only place I'm talking about.
And the two boxes in the center of your right-of-way there is their ending point now. They're going to go from there north, and they're going to go underground. So they're gonna be burrowing in the right of way east of your property again.
So I am supposed to live with this crap for 10 years while everybody's doing what they're doing because nobody is required to ever put their stuff back. And yet, we need to keep it mowed.
We make them put it back, and we're gonna have the boards put some sods in and we grade it from those boxes where you and I talked about south to address that, and it will be better.
And I appreciate that more than you can even know. That I am looking forward to by Memorial Day having that resolved. I truly appreciate that. I am sincerely frustrated at what I've had to go through in order to get to that point.
And I can commiserate with you. We gotta try to be mayor to get people to do things.
You know, I didn't run for election, John.
I didn't say.
I didn't run for election.
I'm just saying that everybody in the city hall and on the board works really hard to keep Plattewoods.
I know that they do.
And
I do
we
know
have
that.
very limited time and resources to get things done. And so
You know what? That doesn't excuse the fact that you
No.
have a resident continually coming to you, and you don't assist them. You know, and
We do assist you.
I have not had assistance with any of that until today. Today, when I talked to you out there, and you agreed to fix that stuff, I've never had anything fixed before now.
As I recall in last month's minutes, AT&T's contractor, Alpha KC, said they were done. So now we can start looking at what we need to move forward on.
I just don't even understand why they didn't have to put that back. To me, you kept telling me they're not done. So that indicated to me that they were going to fix it back in place before they were done.
To be clear, AT&T is not done. Alpha KC, who has a short-term contract for roughly 450 feet north of 72nd, is done. The next mile and a half.
I understand that. I do. I understand that. But they are done up to that box. And they needed to have put back that right of way.
Well, until they start boring in the tomahawk.
I apologize to you too, but you have no idea the year's frustration that is coming out tonight.
Until they start boring their tomahawk and then they'll bore their valley to bring fiber to the northern end of the city, they're done.
You can't expect me to think though, that when I called you before, and you said they'll fix it before they're done. They'll fix it before they're done. Well, when is done? Okay, when is done? Now today you told me, okay, they're done, we're gonna fix this here. Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to figure out is with a city with a small budget, again, I am so very thankful that the city with a small budget will go back and fix it for me. So don't misunderstand me. But I'm saying, why are they having to do that? Why didn't it get addressed with AT&T and say, hey, look, this wasn't like this when you came and now the water is sitting in here and this can't be maintained properly. You need to grade it back out.
In 300 feet, there's only 2 areas where the box is impacted. We really need to do the whole thing if we want to go properly.
The boxes impacted the whole area the way they did it, John. I don't know. I'll go back and see if I have pictures of what they did when they were there. I'll go back and see if I can find those pictures. There were mounds of dirt everywhere.
That's the only way you get fiber cable there.
I understand that. I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm not saying we should stop them from doing it. I am saying we should ask them to put the property back the way they found it when they come there.
And putting it back is grading it, seeding it, and strawing it.
They didn't even grade it.
They graded it.
No, they did not grade it. You and I agreed this morning.
I said they
They
didn't
did
grade
not
it
grade
as
it.
well as they could have.
No, they didn't grade it at all.
There's 2 elevators.
I invite any of you, I apologize, I know I am showing my hind end. I invite any of you to come and stand down there and look up that hill and tell me that that was graded at all. I live there, I go out and look at it, I know they didn't. I know they didn't. I tried to tell you that at the time. I don't think we should have to waste our money going back and saying, oh, they didn't do this, so now we have to do it. I'm grateful, but I don't think we should have to do that all over the city. And if they're continuing to run their work on downtown Tomahawk, we should not be left with that mess the whole way through.
But
we need to talk to them.
there are also improvement issues. This was platted 100 years ago. So what we currently have for right-of-way is a 100-year-old design. We've got a lot more asphalt, we've got a lot more runoff. So there are places where it makes sense for the city to go in and make an improvement, which is what we do with stormwater grants and what we do.
You know, John, I'm not saying you shouldn't do improvements. You know I'm not saying that.
I didn't say you.
No, I'm not saying that. I know we need to do improvements. What I'm saying is when people do work, it's just like if they come in your house and they come in to fix your ceiling. If they tear up your floor while they're fixing your ceiling, you expect them to fix your floor before they leave. That's what I'm saying. And it shouldn't be on our dime.
Well, you could consider it as an improvement or a repair, and in some cases there may be both.
John, I live there. I know the property. My husband knows it. He knows the property. He knows that we were doing just fine for what? 18 years. Until AT&T came in there and started digging.
But now we finished the stormwater project.
The stormwater project didn't have anything to do with that part of it.
It has to do with now, our project's finished, AT&T's finished to a point. We can now do what I told you we're going to ask the board to do, go up and make
Right,
improvements
you
there.
can. It's not an improvement, it's a restoration. And that's where we're disagreeing. And I feel like we should try to talk to these contractors as they continue to do work in our city to put the restoration back themselves, and we should not have to come behind them and do it. Not unless the property itself is already in a bad way.
And again, it's restoration, improvement. Are we improving a 100-year-old design?
They did absolutely nothing to improve my right-of-way.
Because they weren't supposed to improve it.
They tore it up
They were supposed to put it back
the way they found it.
Great, right.
Right, and they did not.
So, and again, we're at a point where it makes sense to ask the board to spend a few $1,000s and let's finish it off and make an improvement to make our entire project complete.
And I'm thankful. And if they come in and tear it up again when they start going north of that box, are we going to pay for it to be fixed again? And all the way on up
I'm
Tomahawk?
going to ask them to fix it the way it should be fixed. And
Then why didn't we do that this time?
We did pay attention to it. I mean, it's
All
grass.
right, we're beating a
it's
dead
seed.
horse.
Right.
We're beating a dead horse. I've said my piece. You understand my concerns. I think anyone would like a return phone call, text message, email, anything, when they call with a concern. I've expressed things that I think could help our city going forward as all these projects continue, because this is just the beginning. So you do with that what you may. I love Plattewoods. Okay,
Yeah.
I do, and I put up with a lot because I understand you have pain with moving forward, and I kept gritting my teeth and moving on. I get it. But some things are not making any sense to me the way that we are operating that, and so I'm trying to voice my opinion. We have a different opinion in what some of the conversations have been. We'll leave it at that, and going forward, we'll try to do better, both of us. And I sincerely hope that our projects going forward over the rest of the city can go better too.
And my intent by spending an hour with you on the street and walking it was making up. I couldn't text you because I was in a meeting. By the time I got the text, you guys were already there. And I was driving to see what's going on, and I answered you. And my goal was to spend as much time with you as needed, tell you where we're at, what we're doing, what our future plans are.
You didn't even know I was there. I called you.
I know, I was talking to you on the phone.
I didn't text you or anything.
No,
Yeah, I
said-
called you and you answered, and I was speaking to you then. That is true. That is true.
And I was just coming back into the city. I didn't know you were there. I was going to see what they were doing since I got a text that they were going to be on site, and I happened to run into it. And then,
Yeah, and that was the other thing that concerned me. They should have already told you what they were gonna be doing there and you approve it before they went and did it. The guy down the street told me what they were doing and I told you. That's not how it should be. That they shouldn't have gotten approval from you to have done the workaround that they did today. And that it hadn't happened.
I'm not an engineer, I'm not gonna be able to say good or bad.
You're the mayor of the city, you should be able to say whether that's acceptable to you and your residents. And where I have voiced a complaint, you should have said, Kim, is this gonna work out? Is this gonna help? Is this gonna be better? I mean, that's just common decency, John. I do that to people.
Well, yeah, that's what I asked them when I got done talking to you. I talked to Danny and I said, when I asked him for the stuff that I told you to ask for in the sunshine request, is that going to work and how's it going to work? So he could explain to me what you and I were conceptually talking about based on what Scott had said was going to be done. So we had to do it on the back end rather than on the front end, but at least we got it done.
And I agree with that, but what if I hadn't been there? I just got home. You know, I've got 3 elderly relatives that I am trying to hop around and keep afloat. And I was at my aunt's for the last 2 days, and I came home this morning to find that they're out there working. So if I hadn't seen that and called you, you wouldn't have done that. They go in there, they do their work and their fix whatever they think is right, and they leave and we don't ever even have a say.
Asked them what
they're working for us.
I would have asked them what they're doing, what they're planning on doing.
If you saw them there, you would have. I do believe that. But you might not even know they were there.
I told you, he texted me and said they were coming.
You told me today that you didn't know they were coming today.
I didn't. That's why I drove by and looked.
That's my point. No, you drove by and looked because I called you.
No, that's not what I drove by.
I had been on the phone with you a good 10 minutes before you drove up, John.
I was
And you told me then that they told you they were going to come out, that you didn't expect them today. Because I said, why didn't you get back to me? And you said, I didn't expect them here today.
Everyone, can I suggest leave? I am happy to continue the discussion.
You can leave, you can do whatever you want.
Unfortunately, I cannot.
I understand. I understand.
So I just don't think this is the appropriate format for where we are at this point.
You're not bothering me, you can leave. But I'm not going to have somebody tell me one thing and then tell me another. And if these people who are working for our city are going and making decisions on what should be done to fix a problem without even getting an approval from the mayor about what they're doing, that doesn't seem right to me.
It seems perfectly right to me.
It doesn't seem right to me. It seems that you should know what's going on, especially when it's been a point of contention like this was.
Can we clarify what work was done today and then what next steps are, just moving forward?
What era are we talking about? 4 things.
Let's talk about stormwater, because I think the AT&T piece and the grading issue, we know what needs to be done there. My concern is stormwater at this point, and those 3 areas that we're flooding. But what I saw, the work that Kim's talking, or that she's talking about, as far as happened today, what were they doing down there today?
On West Tomahawk, they bored a hole in the back of the box. I don't know exactly how high it was, to have an emergency overflow. And the flat grate will stay because that's what the resident wants and doesn't want to be high. So we're going to see if that will work. They put in the dirt.
How big of a, did you see how big of a hole?
I think it's 8-inch.
Okay.
It is an 8-inch hole
Okay, in the back of the box.
in the back of the box at ground level. If it's not at ground level, it wouldn't help my yard any. I'm not positive it will now, but I'm hopeful.
I don't know that they put the sod on yet.
No, they
No,
don't.
it's dirt. But they did so they took dirt over the top of where AT&T had done seed and straw. So now it's all fresh, and it looked like it was actually graded because AT&T did not do a good job with the seed and the straw. Okay, so it's prepared.
It's prepared to sod.
Okay,
On both east and west side.
okay. And
And
then,
then on Hickory, which I found out was the other area where the sod had laced up during the winter with the freeze thaw and created a dam and sent the water around the sod and into the street. So we've taken the center section out of the sod and made this.
is it over by Kathy's? Okay.
So that's what's been done to remediate the stormwater project work that we completed last fall.
So as far as, so we've got a whole board on the box that's on by Kim Tom's property, but what about on Oak Ridge where that water came up? Because even if it's, my concern is, and even as a resident, even if it's down and recedes in 30 minutes, how much it flooded, it makes your yard like unusable. You can't do anything there, you can't plant anything, just as far as the pool, so is there going to be any improvement on that for that part of the drainage?
It should get into the system that was built, but again, you've got to design it for a certain rainfall. Tuesday was way above that excess, so it's going to have to go somewhere. It might be in the yard for a few minutes, but so I went by into that yard. It's not damp by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay, so
I have seen much bigger rainfalls. If that rain hadn't stopped when it did, they probably would have had water up at their house. I saw
that's my
video.
concern too.
We have had rains like that that have lasted days and nights. And if that happens, those people are going to be swamped. And that's what I'm saying. What I got was nothing. If it hadn't quit raining, my yard wouldn't have flooded anymore. It would have kept going over the road into Pete and down that way, willy-nilly. It cut ruts over there, and I think it's supposed to rain again Friday night. If they don't get sod on that dirt tomorrow, then it'll probably cut ruts all down through it again. I'm just telling you.
Decided by tomorrow.
Okay, well.
I can't guarantee that.
So we can, over these next couple rains, we'll watch and pay attention. But if, so going back and having to cut a hole in the back and any other fixes that we have, site rate is covering as part of the project, we're not going to do additional funds. Okay.
And I don't know, I'll just bring this up for Pete since he's not here, but he has some gashes all across his driveway that somebody left, and he came across and asked SiteRite about it today, and they said that was not their people, that was, again, AT&T.
Well, that was Alpha KC.
I'm just telling you what they said, but Pete is wanting his driveway fixed.
Have Pete call me. He usually calls me. He's not bashful.
I think he was making another attempt today. I mean, has he not already expressed to you that he has a problem with his driveway? I'll let him know.
And if it was since 5:30. So.
No, this was this morning when I was speaking with the SiteRite guy.
And I actually walked through his to see how it flowed with the
So you obviously know what contractor did it. Is there anything in the works for them to repair it?
I wasn't aware there's anything that needed to be repaired.
Well, when I said his driveway was messed up and the site guy said it was AT&T, you said it was so-and-so. So you're aware of it, you know that so-and-so did it. Are they doing anything or have anything in the plan to fix it?
No, because I didn't know there was a problem.
But you know who caused the problem, but you didn't know there was a problem?
You're the only contractor
Oh
there.
boy, I gotta go because I'm gonna get bad.
We always know who the contractor is doing work for us so that we can get in contact with them later. But we don't always know there's damage. Because I doubt many contractors say, oh, I screwed your driveway up, oh, I did this, or I did that. So that's why, again, I try to request that the residents keep communication so we know what's going on.
Oh. And yet, no one knows. Sorry. I'm gonna go.
Thank you.